Hi guys, and welcome to the Lifestyle Design Secrets podcast, where we talk about fitness, nutrition, mindset, and a whole lot more. Thank you for everyone who's listened to all our episodes so far and taken the time to leave a review. If you do enjoy this episode and want the free content to keep on coming, please do take 2 seconds to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again. Now let's dive in. Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast. So today I'm very excited to be here with one of my best friends in the world, Rebecca Hight. I keep wanting to say Hingston. And we were just discussing the fact that we've known each other for nearly 30 years. Being friends since we were about 7 and meeting at the tennis club. Neither of us
of all places
can play tennis, and we decided that watching 17 episodes of Friends back to back was a far better use of our time. So to introduce Rebecca, because you always start with lots of credentials on a podcast, Rebecca has a degree from the London School of Economics that I'm sure you'll agree you've used tons, especially for us learning to go clubbing when we were 18.
Exactly.
It's probably the most useful part of it. And from London, where we met when we were 7, Rebecca and I'm throwing you right under the bus, went on holiday when we were about 19, and she fell in love with a Kiwi engineer and swiftly moved to the Turks and Caicos. So Rebecca, would you like to explain to everyone where the Turks and Caicos is? Because I thought you were moving to Turkey.
So did I. I had to Google it when I found out that I got a job here. Then I saw some white sandy beaches and turquoise water and thought, yeah, that will do. So we are just below the Bahamas and about an hour and a half flight from Miami.
That's awesome.
So we say Caribbean, but really we're in the Atlantic, not the Caribbean Sea.
Oh yeah, I bet some Kiwis listening to this will have just learned something. Because I definitely didn't know where it is. And it's annoyingly further, when I moved to New Zealand, you're now further away. But hey, so to give everyone a little bit of context, and we're probably going to be quite unstructured on this podcast because you and I have never had a professional relationship. We just chat. And quite often we have chats that I think, shit, we really should be recording this because, yeah, I feel like there are a lot of insights there from, and how things have changed over the decades.
How they've changed.
So from that was the saucy starter into Becca. We've got a meaty main course of, I asked ChatGPT to give me some nuanced discussion points of a talk through around diet and exercise and things like that over the last 3 decades that we've known each other. So I might fire a topic at you and then see where we go. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. The low-fat craze of the 1990s.
Brutal.
Even just our teenage years.
I mean, there's no point in eating low fat really when you're going to eat an entire chocolate orange afterwards, but
or the
I guess we tried.
Galaxy. We were really into Galaxy. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
Extra creamy, extra sugary chocolate that I only later found out they don't actually consider British or probably Kiwi chocolate in Europe because the cocoa content's so low.
Just sugar and dairy.
Just sugar. Yeah.
Oh dear.
I thought of you the other day on that fact because it's cream egg season.
See, I haven't eaten those in years. I used to love them.
Cream eggs and mini eggs.
It's the stuff in the middle now. Oh, mini eggs. I'll take a mini egg.
Yeah.
Except that we very often can only get the Hershey's version here. So they say Cadbury, but actually if you look on the back, it's made by Hershey.
Yeah.
And they're disgusting. Anything Hershey's disgusting.
Thoughts on Whittaker's?
I am not a huge fan. I don't know what it is about the taste that doesn't taste like a dairy milk or a Galaxy that I'm used to. But I did try the Hokey Pokey recently, and it was actually really good.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, otherwise not a huge fan.
Hokey Pokey is like the honeycomb stuff.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, I like what you said about trying and then eating loads of chocolate.
Do you remember going on road trips and we used to just We went to go and visit unis and you came with me, and we would just have those, they were like chocolate Pringles. And we just demolish a box of those each among all the other car snacks and everything.
No, but yes, it rings a bell. Chocolate Pringles.
They were like Belgian chocolate thins, but they were Pringle shaped, but they were obviously chocolate.
It blows my mind how they engineer food these days to be that good. Like a chocolate Pringle. Like, I don't think there could be anything more addictive. Have you heard about how Pringles are made to be like a really nice mouthfeel?
No?
Like the ratio of salt to sugar to
Oh,
crunch.
yeah.
And
there's
added some flavourings and stuff, down to the shape of the Pringle, the way it hits your tongue. So it hits...
To get maximum flavour.
Flavour receptors, yeah, which is why they're so addictive. I'm going to Google the chocolate Pringles after this, because I do remember, were they M&S snacks?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I'm trying to think where they were from. So on that note, I've got some stats for anyone listening who wants some science still amongst our discussion. So youth dietary patterns. Research indicates that British teenagers derive approximately 66% of their daily caloric intake from ultra-processed food. So not just processed food, ultra-processed food. Yeah, it's wild. And I've got some more stats from when we met, which I was guessing is around 1995.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Calling it 30 years ago. Global increase in obesity rates since 1995 have more than doubled. Interesting, isn't it? And
yes.
Adult obesity rates in the US have more than tripled, and childhood obesity has more than tripled.
It's not really surprising when you go to the US and you see
I was about to say,
the sheer size of portions, the refills on drinks, free refills.
So you
and they're really hot on making sure yeah, exactly. And as soon as you finished one Diet Coke, they're right there with another one for you for free. Giant glass.
So they actually bring them to you. You don't even have to get up and refill it.
Depending on the restaurant, no. If you're having a sit-down meal, no, they'll just come round and offer you another one.
That's incredible. And that's Diet Coke as well. You're choosing Diet Coke. Most people probably are.
But it could be anything, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. And do you notice the difference between... Obviously, you travel to the UK a lot and to the US a lot. Do you notice the difference, or do you reckon they're both getting worse progressively?
No, the US is still definitely worse in that respect. If you go to Pizza Express, for example, and order a Diet Coke, you get a little glass bottle.
Yes, yeah.
Which is relatively expensive.
Yeah.
And all you're getting is a tiny glass bottle.
So that's something different in the US as well, that everything
really is supersized.
But it seems cheaper.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's getting more expensive, as I think everywhere is. Everything is still cheaper than here, but it's still cheap for us when we go there.
Yeah. So what are I'm going to give Rebecca a little bit more context here. So you have two daughters. How old are Amelia and Ivy?
Ivy will be 7 at the beginning of next month, and Amelia's 8.
Amazing. And so what would you say your biggest food challenges are for both you, and we'll get more onto the girls as well in a minute, living on the island?
So everything's imported. We effectively grow nothing here. The only industry is tourism, other than a rogue papaya tree that might grow. That's it's very hard to grow anything here. It's just sand. So there's about a 40% import duty on everything that comes in.
Holy
and
shit.
Then you've got the supermarket profit, so that they're going to mark up everything.
It's about 50%.
For their profit. So it's crazy how much we're paying for just basic things. So even if you wanted something healthy, like a chicken breast, apart from the fact it's come from the US, and I'm very sceptical of the quality of it.
Yeah.
So might be tempted to say buy an organic one instead, because it is noticeably different in taste and less water comes out and everything else. You'd be looking at, for a pack of say 3 chicken breasts, you're looking at pushing $30.
Holy shit.
If you're converting that to New Zealand dollars, I think it's about $1 is about $1.77 New Zealand dollar.
So that's close to $60.
For organic chicken breasts.
And
Eggs right now are almost, eggs are about $1 an egg right now, because there's some sort of egg shortage in the US right now,
and that's
which is about $1.77 per large egg in New Zealand dollars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I'd say ours are still at $1 an egg. Around that. So about 12 New Zealand dollars for a set of 12. And they're all free range here now. Have you guys got free range?
Ours are not.
They're not?
It's very hard to get any kind of free range, and if you're then looking at free range, of course you're going to pay a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, so actually...
If you can get them.
Yeah, that's so tricky, because I think... I noticed in the UK, all the cafes... I know we love Pizza Express and go there a lot. And we also used to go to all-you-could-eat Chinese really often, considering... I wonder why we never had a flat stomach.
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah, all the like sugar-coated deep fried food might have had something to do with it. And we also used to go to the cinema a lot. Cinema snacks, probably not the best.
True, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so sorry, digressing. Back to the cost of food over there. So you're probably relatively lucky in terms of what you can afford, but that must be a huge consideration in what you buy on a daily basis. What's the cheapest?
It is, I mean, so for us though, we do have to try and remind ourselves that we don't pay income tax. So that it is a tax haven, so it does offset that somewhat for us. Obviously, people visiting here are really shocked when they see the prices, because they've already paid their taxes on their money that they used to get here. And then they're paying extortionate amounts for groceries. But it's still very expensive for us.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is that we are much more inclined to home make as many things as we can. And particularly my husband, I think it's just the way he is from the way he was brought up. His mother very much likes to make things from scratch, and so he has always liked to do that.
And he's
but the convenience of yes, he is.
Yeah.
The convenience of buying it is just not there because it's so expensive. So
what sort of stuff would you say
it makes us more inclined.
What sort of stuff does Nick make from scratch that you reckon other people would probably buy?
Baked beans is a big one. Yeah, Heinz baked beans right now. So we're lucky because we do have an international section and some British stuff is brought in.
Yeah.
However, a tin of Heinz baked beans now is up over $4. Why? It's supposed to be cheap comfort food. Like, why would you spend that kind of money for something like baked beans?
That's like $7 New Zealand dollars for a can of baked beans.
Yeah, so he buys a bag of dry beans and he makes baked beans from scratch and makes a huge batch of them and puts them in the freezer. So he and the kids love them. I love them, but I don't generally eat them because beans don't sit very well with me.
Yeah.
But so there's that. He makes all kinds of like curry paste. If he makes a curry of any sort, he would make the paste from scratch.
Yeah.
Whether it's Thai or Indian or whatever. Bread, we don't really buy bread here unless it's from the nice fancy French bakery on the rare occasion.
I was about to say, is that also because US bread is disgusting?
It's so awful. Not that we eat a lot of bread actually, but even the kids don't eat much bread.
Yeah.
But still, he will make bread rolls and stuff for their packed lunches from scratch if he is going to make bread.
He's sounding like super husband in terms of the kitchen, at the very least. You wouldn't go that far.
He's a much better cook than I am. I'm also really boring. For myself, I just eat like meat and salad.
I was about to say, so let's meaty main course. Rebecca Hight, what are you eating at the moment and how do you feel about yourself? Because we also have really good chats about the gym, how good you feel when you go to the gym and how you notice when you don't. What are you eating on a day-to-day basis at the moment?
Well, a nice example. My mum finally left last night. We've had mothers here visiting back to back since the middle of December.
Can we circle
So
back
last
to
night,
mothers and parents in a second?
absolutely. So my mum finally left after a delay and everything else. And so I cracked out a box of matchmakers that she brought from the UK, which are delicious little mint chocolate sticks, if you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do, but listeners may not. Ate the entire box myself. It was delicious. However, this morning, I did notice how little energy I had at the gym.
It's quite
And
interesting. So it's
I
sugar
don't think it
hangover.
was lack of sleep. I don't think it was anything like that. I just think I had rubbish food last night. After a Thai takeaway, actually. And then
So you
had
had
that, and I
Thai
had
takeaway
zero
followed
energy
by-
this morning.
Thai takeaway followed by a box of chocolates. Was
Small
not
box of chocolates.
small box of chocolates. Was not a performance enhancer though.
It really, really wasn't. The gym was really hard this morning.
So, okay, let's break that down because I reckon what that could have been is Thai takeaway. It's often laced with a lot of salt and sugar.
Oh yeah,
you're
MSG
probably-
for sure.
MSG, you're probably storing a hell of a lot more water, which will physically
Probably.
make you feel heavy. So that's really interesting. Also, a very rich meal for your body to break down. So you may not have slept as well, even if you felt like you slept okay. Yeah, and then the sugar from possibly the takeaway and the box of matchmakers. Your liver was probably still processing that, like quite late into the night.
Yeah. It was still very cross with me this morning.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what did you do to me? But it's interesting, like now you know how to eat well. You can do those sorts of things and notice how your body feels the next day.
I knew
And
there would be consequences, so it was like it was a shock. And it was worth eating it. I enjoyed it and it was fine. But now it's Monday and I'm back to my normal eating patterns, which is,
What does
for me,
normal
pretty
look
much every single day. I'm up at about 5:30 for my 6 o'clock gym class.
Yeah.
I do have a collagen protein post-workout thing drink when I come home.
Oh, yeah.
I take some coffee with me to the gym, just black coffee. I do have that kind of like within the hour after I've worked out. And then I probably don't eat breakfast till about 10 o'clock on average.
Yeah.
And almost every single day, because I'm a creature of habit, that is Greek yogurt with homemade granola and strawberries.
Yum. Do you get proper Greek yogurt over there?
We can. I actually do buy yogurt sachets from New Zealand. So whenever we have Nick's mum coming over, or I used to be able to get them in the UK online, which I may not be able to now. So I do have a yogurt maker thing.
Yeah.
And then I can also buy Greek yogurt here as well, which is pretty expensive, but I kind of mix the two.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
The
So
shop
that's
bought one
even-
is higher protein than the sachets, but they're all
I love
full
that you
fat
know
Greek,
that.
unsweetened.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm doing what I can to get the best I can within a reasonable cost.
Yeah, that's interesting. So even just, mixing the two is a really good idea.
And I can't always buy it. So I have to, when I do go in and I see it in the shop, I'll buy about 3 tubs of it.
Yeah.
And then you never know, I might not be able to get it next time.
Yeah. Is it the Fahe Greek yogurt like they have in Europe or a different one?
No, I can buy that, but it is now almost $18 a tub.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so unless it's got a yellow sticker, I just can't justify that.
So that's interesting because that is...
Because that would be my choice. That is my favourite.
Yeah, it's our favourite from Europe and the Greek islands. When women go, they eat the Yoplait sachets, it's unsweetened, or I eat Greek yogurt. Lots of people are going, I eat the vanilla flavoured Greek yogurt. And I'm like, no, there's so much sugar in that. But even like you said, even the unsweetened stuff, in New Zealand, there's probably about 7 brands of Greek style yogurt.
Yeah, they're not even
That
allowed to
are
call
no
themselves
better.
Greek. Yeah.
They're no better than the normal yogurt. There's no more protein. It's full of carbohydrates and like quite a lot of complicated ingredients. There's one by Meadow Fresh called Callow by Meadow Fresh, if anyone's listening in
Yeah,
New
I
Zealand.
tried that when I was with you.
Yeah, that's the best one we can get, but that still has a lot more fat and a lot more carbohydrates than the real Greek yogurt.
And it doesn't have the same
It has
thickness.
the same tartness or thickness. Yeah.
It was good, but it wasn't Greek, proper Greek.
Isn't it interesting how our food supply is like laced with, you can't get the real foods that are, I reckon Greek yogurt sales in New Zealand, 90% of them are caramel flavoured, vanilla flavoured, strawberry flavoured. People think they're doing a good thing for themselves because they say high protein on the label, and they're probably consuming about 6 to 8 teaspoons of sugar in their bowl of yogurt. That's why because I love that you eat yogurt for breakfast, but in my programs I steer clear of it, especially for New Zealanders, because it's such a minefield to try and explain. But that's breakfast.
Sometimes if I don't have any, if I've run out of my muesli, I will eat it without and just have the yogurt with some berries.
Yeah.
I do continue to eat muesli because I do find it keeps me fuller for a lot longer.
Yeah, so what goes into your homemade...
I'm probably not hungry for a good 5 hours after breakfast.
That's really cool.
I don't eat lunch until about 3 o'clock. And sometimes I'm only eating because I know that I can't make it through to dinner. I'm not actually hungry.
Yeah.
And I just know I will be hungry by 4, and then it's all going to go wrong if I don't eat something.
I have the same dilemma around daycare pickup, which for me is at 4:30. At 3 o'clock, I'm not necessarily hungry, but I'm like probably not going to make another 3 hours. So that's really interesting.
So my muesli is oats, but probably equal amounts of pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds to what there is oats. And then whatever nuts I have, but generally some walnuts, some pecans, some almonds. If I have it, then unsweetened coconut flakes, which I just toss on at the end for the last few minutes just to crisp them slightly. But I don't always have them. Sesame seeds are quite nice if I have them. Don't always have those. And then for sweetener, some honey and maple syrup.
Yeah.
And a bit of coconut oil just to grease the trays and whatever, stop it sticking.
Yeah. But what you've just described, so say 1 cup of oats versus a cup of all those seeds, all those nuts, that's extreme. That's a really high fat granola, like in a good way. Like carbohydrates aren't the main source of fuel there, but there are a little bit of carbohydrates to fill you up and probably make it delicious. That's probably why it keeps you full for so long.
It's tasty. Yeah.
And it's tasty.
And I eat that almost every day, and I'm just a creature of habit.
Yeah, I love it. I'm actually looking forward to going back to Europe in June, and I'm going to dive heavily into the Greek yogurt because I actually miss it. Get into what I eat for breakfast in a wee bit, maybe, but yeah, I love that. So what's your 3 p.m. go-to?
Very often eggs. I try and have boiled eggs in the fridge frequently, because I eat them, but also I put them in the kids' lunch a lot. Or I'll scramble eggs, or there'll be some leftover steak from the night before, or I don't know, some form of
protein.
Proteiny, snacky. Yeah. No, I don't sit down and eat it. I'm usually shoving it in my mouth while I'm doing something in the kitchen.
Which I always tell people is a terrible thing to do, but as a new mother, I do it all the time. And so you know what I've noticed? The new mother trying to run 2 businesses and an Airbnb and lots of stuff like that, rushing around. I try not to physically rush, but what I find is if I do try and sit down and eat like a giant salad with lots and lots of fibre, like it's really hard for my stomach to digest when I'm still in that stressed out state.
Yeah. It's just too much effort and too time consuming.
Yeah, exactly. So I try and pause, but actually just eating, exactly like you said, just some eggs or just some protein or a slice of frittata or something that I can...
Or just some cheese, just straight off the block with my eggs.
Yes, I love just cheese. You know what I used to love in the UK? Ham and cheese. Here, the ham is so disgusting. Champagne ham off the bone.
I bet ours is worse.
I miss like ham that actually looks like it came off a pig. Sorry to be crass, but the champagne ham here, champagne ham. The UK, champagne ham means real ham. Here, it's about 60% meat. Yeah, and so salty, like you can feel it. Like you probably felt the takeaway. Like, yeah, it's not ideal. So how bad's your ham? Tell me more.
It's more the quality of the cold cuts is just, as you would expect coming from the US.
Relatively
Quality,
terrible.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I do quite often cook like a big ham. I don't even know what cut they call it here, but just stick it in the oven for 3 hours or whatever, and then it freezes quite well as well, so you can just hack off a chunk and stick that in the freezer.
Oh yeah.
And then eat the rest for a few days for lunches or dinners or whatever.
Yeah, that's my most recent go-to meal prep is good old-fashioned roast, but like roast lamb or roast beef and whatever cut is on offer to try and keep costs down, and then cut it into portions and just eat it throughout the week, freeze any if I need to.
And what Nick is good about, which it drives me a bit insane because I hate soups, but he never lets a bone of any sort go to waste, whether it's a chicken carcass, whether it's a ham bone. He will make a slow cooked soup out of it.
You hate soup, I do too.
I hate broth, I hate soup. Unless it's a creamy... I can do a creamy soup in a restaurant as a treat, but I just don't like soups in general.
No, they're never my go-to. Yeah.
But
so
he and the kids really like it, so...
Yeah.
Average temperature would be, say, 30 degrees as an average.
Yeah. I don't think I...
In the evenings in the winter, it might get down to about 23 degrees, and then we're all freezing cold and wearing jumpers and jeans and shoes.
Try -3. I'm so jealous.
And the tourists are all out in their shorts and nice dresses, and we're all sat there shivering.
That would be me. Be sat there in my bikini in 23 degrees and you'd be like, oh God. So
humidity is the killer.
Oh yeah, I bet. I want to circle back to parents, what our parents eat, and also the girls' school lunches and things like that, and what they eat. But what's generally on the menu for dinner?
I often eat something different to what Nick and the kids eat.
Oh yeah.
Because he does like to make a lot of curries and heavy things with rice. Or sometimes he eats a lot less meat than I do. He likes a lot of beans and lentils and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when I'm in charge of feeding the kids, they eat meat. Yeah. And when he's in charge of feeding the kids, it's more often than not, it's some sort of beans or whatever. Or paneer. He makes his own paneer.
Paneer? Curry?
Yeah, he does a lot of that. So if there's milk that's reduced, he brings that home, he cooks it up, and he makes paneer curries.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I am generally just eating literally like some kind of meat and salad or vegetable or fish. And I can just eat the blandest basic food and I don't mind.
Yeah.
He cannot eat the same thing all the time. He gets bored.
Yeah.
And the kids just eat whatever they're given.
That's really good. And I remember you telling me that you started that pretty early just by kind of blitzing whatever you guys are eating. Almost?
Yeah, well, Amelia was a nightmare to feed when we were weaning her. She would not eat anything. She had a bottle still quite late because she has to eat something. She has to have some kind of sustenance in her body. And then as soon as she got a bit older, she was a really adventurous eater.
That's so interesting.
And then Ivy, from the get-go, has just eaten anything you put in front of her, and she's always hungry. Her eyes open in the morning, and she must be fed immediately.
Isn't it funny how it differs from person to person?
Yeah.
We're just going through that with Charlie now, and I've got a few tactics, but what I've found works really well is butter on anything is great. So really buttery scrambled eggs and bland food. So cottage cheese has been a big win. Like packed full of protein, but milky sort of texture. And yesterday mixing things with that, I mixed cottage cheese with tuna. And so he ate tuna, which was awesome. And then, so doing little things like that, but mixing them with stuff like cottage cheese. I'm trying to think what else. He loves a stick of cheese, like full stick.
Oh yeah, who doesn't
Yeah.
love a stick of cheese? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying yesterday, he was like, "Oh,
I love a stick of cheese.
Yeah, he looked like a girl at a hen do after, 18 wines, digging into the platter-board. Getting very excited. Right, so what else do the girls like? And what do you put in their lunch boxes for mums listening?
Lunches. So they do have school lunches on offer, but you have to pay for them on top of the school fees. So we have to send our kids to private school here.
Yeah.
So we're already paying the fees, and then there's basically nothing extra included.
Yeah.
So it comes out to $9 a day per child for hot lunch. And in my opinion, the quality of what they're getting is just not healthy enough for me to justify
American
that.
style school lunch?
Well, some days it's like chicken and healthy potato wedges. So it's just chicken and chips then.
Yeah.
So they always have Pizza Friday, which I'm fine with. That's great. They enjoy it. No problem.
Yeah.
Then they sometimes have it on a Monday because it might be like a chicken curry or chicken and mash and vegetables, and that
So
I'm
do you
fine
mix
with.
up you making lunch and then having a lunch?
Yes. So we have to choose for the month ahead, and we
yeah.
pay ahead, and we choose what days they're going to have it. Then on the other days, I tend to quite often do like something like boiled eggs or chopped up steak or some ham or something like that, and then a cheese stick, and then kind of crudités, just cherry tomatoes, carrots, celery, peppers, cucumber, some combination, like maybe 4 of those things.
Yeah.
And then some protein.
Yeah.
So that's
So
a really
do they
standard.
have-
They probably have that at least twice a week in the lunch. And then the snack will be usually 2 types of fruit, like some grapes and some cut up apple, or like some apple and some orange,
Yeah.
a banana, whatever. And then the snack is quite often, the kind of sweet snack is usually just some biscuits or something, unless I've baked something. Which I do sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
But sometimes.
Shock horror. Our boys, well, Scott's boys they're 15 and 13. They have a lot of processed food in their lunch. Because it's cool, because it's what they'll eat. Often they come home with healthy stuff not eaten. They also have fruit and things like that, but there's always some kind of protein in their roll. But they also, they bike to school, they run around at lunchtime, like it's completely different to... But do you remember, like, what did you used to have for school lunches? Because I remember for a while having hummus sandwiches, then refusing anything but Nutella sandwiches.
Well, I always pretty much had school lunch.
Yeah, so proper food.
So it was always things like lasagnas, mashed potatoes with something. It was always kind of very British, very heavy, hot food, kind of typical British things, like some sort of pie or whatever. But you could always, when I was in secondary school, you could then always have the salad bar option as well. With the jacket potato, there was like sliced up bread and stuff like that. So there were more kind of other options if you didn't want the hot food. But quite funny, the other week, Amelia had a bit of a fuss at us because she wanted to have Lunchables.
Ooh.
I don't know if they're a thing where you are. I don't recall having those as a kid. So I think they're Dairy-Lee. I think
they were a huge thing when I was a kid, and I asked for them as well. So, like my namesake Amelia, I remember having a meltdown because I wasn't allowed them because they were these cute,
because other kids have them.
Yeah, other kids have them. Lazy parents. I'm not calling out any parents. I don't help with the boys' lunches. They generally have all sorts of stuff in them. But these very, very processed little ham slices, very, very processed little cheese slices, and some crackers. But you know
It's
what
like
got me?
Poor man's charcuterie. It's
Say that
awful. Like,
again.
it's like a poor man's charcuterie. It's like a really ultra processed kid charcuterie. It's just...
Yeah, they have them. The boys actually they have just the cheese and cracker versions. But what gets me is the protein to cracker ratio is really, really poor.
It's minimal.
The packaging, frickin' terrible. Like, for the volume of food you're eating, the amount of plastic that you're throwing into the ocean,
Yeah.
relatively terrible. I can't claim to be a good eco-warrior, to be honest, but little things like that, like, yeah, do get to me quite
Easy
strong.
changes, you can just not do those things and save on that plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Amelia's point where she goes, why is my lunch always healthier than everybody else's? I was like, you should be proud of that. That's a good
I
thing.
don't have an answer for that.
I was like, can you still get your pizza on a Friday? I still give you spaghetti bolognese some days. Sometimes it makes bread in the bread maker and you still have jam sandwiches some days.
Yeah.
You don't always have healthy food.
Yeah.
I just don't let you have Lunchables.
But it's not cool to be healthy still at Amelia's age.
Yeah.
So
And some kids have gummy sweets in their lunch boxes. Like little packets of gummy sweets. But they're the healthy, they're Welch's, so they're the brand that's like a juice brand in America.
Oh god.
So they're made with real juice.
Oh, sugary fruit juice.
Yeah, but they're healthy.
Oh my god. So, talking about the girls, what age do you remember first being conscious of what you were eating and what you were putting in your body?
Probably not until my teens,
Yeah.
mid-teens, I'd say.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a concern before that, I don't think.
No. And do you remember what was the first sort of adjustments you tried to make to what you were eating?
Just tiny portion sizes.
Was that after your holiday to Thailand? Do you remember that?
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
I
it
vividly
was.
remember you coming back and you were a hell of a lot thinner.
Because it was some kind of spa retreat type thing where all the food had no additives. Like literally not even any salt.
Yeah.
No salt, sugar, nothing. I mean, it was nice. After the first sort of 3 days in, you could taste the food. But for the first few days, you couldn't taste a thing.
That's so interesting.
And then, so it was all very healthy, nothing processed, all done for you. So obviously, when you've come from eating really processed food all the time, and you're a teenager, so your metabolism is insane. I mean, just the thought of a diet and I'd lose weight.
Well, you say that. You know, I had to debunk this myth the other day. But you don't look at much social media, do you? Which is good. I'm very jealous. Although you send me some great reels sometimes.
I look at Instagram a lot. I don't have TikTok or Snapchat or anything like that, but I follow a handful of people on TikTok, on Instagram that I find entertaining.
Excellent.
And some friends, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I did a deep dive into an article the other day because actually, between the ages of 20 and 60, our metabolism slowing down is not a thing. It's like
Really?
less than 5% different. But we've been told that our metabolism slows down, and do you know what it really is? So combination of factors, as our hormones change, as we get a little bit older, we're fatigued by other areas of daily life, probably. But it particularly affects you, you know, maybe after we've had a child and you're sleep deprived, or as you hit perimenopause and menopause, we do so much less incidental movement. So they call it NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Whereas if you think about when we were teenagers, we were probably pretty bad being in London actually, but so you have
to walk to public transport and stuff. Even to get to school, to get on the bus, you have to walk to the bus stop and walk from the bus stop. And so it's right there, you've got 20 minutes walking.
Yeah.
Sports that you had to do at school, whether you liked it or not.
Exactly. And we never used to consider any of that a workout. And now women tell me that they don't have chance in their day to go for a 20-minute walk. And it's like, oh, I don't think it's your metabolism. It's the conversation I quite often have to have. It's really interesting.
Wow.
Are you thinking about that now?
I'm thinking about it because I could literally, if I had a holiday coming up or something,
Yeah.
you know, this is more kind of uni age where I've been a lot of drinking, eating kebabs at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I would have gained some weight. I still would have been much smaller than I am now, but larger than I was used to being. So I'm like, right, okay, going on holiday with friends in 2 weeks' time. So if I eat salads between now and then, I'll quite easily drop half a stone.
Yes.
I mean, it probably wasn't eating even close to enough protein or anything, but just the number of calories was down. So
And I think the key with that
maybe I wasn't eating the chocolate orange or the dairy milk either.
it's the lack of sustainability of that though, isn't it? Because I used to do the same.
Yeah, for sure.
You diet for holiday.
Come right back from the holiday, or you gain the weight back on the holiday,
and you're back to square one.
or you'd join. There was a gym next to my halls of residence, and I obviously joined up to the gym because it was next door, and I think I maybe went 5 times
In the
this gym
year.
membership. Yeah, and like the preparation for the holiday, I was like, yeah, I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I went to the gym about 5 times, and I don't think I ever went back in.
I think like so many people miss, and I was the same. You'd join the gym and you'd be trying to get yourself there. You'd be trying to get yourself to become like a quote fit person, but it's the consistency.
Yeah, after one bums, tums and thighs class, of course it hurts because I haven't done any exercise since I left school and, you know, not doing that at uni. Well, it hurts and it's hard, so I'm not going to do it now.
Yeah. Ugh. It's so what do you use for motivation now? What keeps you going back to the gym?
I go to these outdoor gym classes down at the girls' school, which is just down the road.
So jealous.
So, I mean, I should really be walking there because it's about a 7-minute walk. But it is dark in the mornings when we start class, so I don't want to walk in the dark. It is my excuse, and I don't want to get up 7 minutes earlier.
You already get up at 5:30, and do you walk a fair bit? You have, isn't it one of the top 5 most beautiful beaches in the world?
I walk on the beach a lot.
Yeah.
So as a gym, like a standard kind of hour-long walk, several times a week at least. So yes, I do plenty of other walking. So I don't walk to class in the morning, even though it's down the road.
Yeah.
I also do need to get back to get the kids ready for school, so I can't actually afford the 7 minutes on the other side. I need that time.
There's no judgment from me. I drive to New World, and you know how close that is to my house. Like, it's comical. Like, it wouldn't even be a 7-minute walk. It'd be like a 3-minute walk. But
you've got to carry that shopping.
Yeah, carry the shopping back. And again, if you're going to daycare, pick up either side, and you've worked up until 4:25. Sorry, Willow's daycare, if anyone from there is listening to this, that I often turn up at like 4:39. So I think there's like a 10-minute window. Meant to be 4:30.
So there's these great classes, and it's different every day. I mean, it's the same sort of class on a certain day of the week, but you never know what you're going to get. There's 2 instructors that kind of alternate, similar age to me, and they've got all the equipment kind of stored up in a shed. So they've got all the weights, bars, kettlebells. They've got a sled. They've even got a rowing machine in there. How they get this rowing machine in there, I don't know.
So it's done.
So some days it's set up like a big circuit, or there's boxing, or there's just kind of general like body sculpt or whatever they call it. There's step once a week. And so it's a really great class. It's 45 minutes. And it's just a really nice little community because you generally see the same people day in, day out.
Yeah.
And it's a small island as well, so you kind of know them a little bit even if you don't know them.
So you
meet new people.
Done for you. It's made easy. You make it even easier for yourself by driving.
Yeah.
You've got friends there. There's sort of a level of accountability, I suppose.
And if you don't go, people are genuinely worried about you because I go pretty religiously, and if they know if I'm going away, I tell them I'm not going to be there for a week.
Yeah.
So then if I don't show up for 2 days, people are genuinely messaging like, are you alive? Are you okay?
Small town life. I love that.
Yeah. So I genuinely enjoy going. I love being told. They tell me what to do. I don't have to think about it, and I will just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
and I'll work as hard as I can. I will do the extra reps just because they're telling me I have to do them. And yeah, it's great. And it's outside. So I love that we start when it's dark usually, depending on the time of year, and then the sun's coming up as we're working out. Yeah, you're not heavy breathing in a gym next to someone that's coughing and snotting.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Well, I only go to the gym once a week here, so it's like my special treat. But there's also
the caveat to that is in the summer months here, it is blistering hot.
Yeah.
And so from about July to November, you are sweating just from getting your weights out the shed and bringing them to where you're going to set up. So you're already mopping yourself off just from carrying them.
Yeah, oh, that's good though. That must feel really good.
Yeah, it is good.
And we've talked about this a little bit before, but you notice when you don't go.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What do you
Over
feel?
Christmas, the instructors were away and they hadn't coordinated well on that. So the classes were very sporadic over the Christmas period, and the kids were off school, so wasn't up as early as normal, and I didn't do many workouts. I still walked and stuff when I could, but I told myself I was going to do my home workouts Monday to Friday just to keep my normal routine. If I got in 2 days, I was lucky.
And so then
It's too hard if I don't do it before the kids are up.
And it's that break in routine, right? And it's no longer easy. You no longer leave the house away from the kids, get it done.
And I leave before they're out of bed, so no one is stopping me from leaving.
No one's stopping you. There's no accountability of, I'm just going to work out for myself. And I think that's so important in building a routine. A lot of people don't think about, they're like, what exercise is best for me? What's going to make my body change the fastest? And it's like, actually, it sounds so cheesy, but what you enjoy the most, what's easy for you, whatever makes it easy, do that, because that's what you'll be able to do consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like it because they always change it up. You never know what you're going to be getting on any given day. You just know what the format of the class is going to be.
Yeah.
And there's no clocks around because I don't wear a watch or anything like that. So I have no idea what the time is.
Yeah. That's
so I don't know how long I've got left.
That's what I like. Although it does tell you, it like tracks your progress. But at F45, you know the vague format of the class. You know whether it's going to be more weight-based or cardio-based.
Yeah.
But you turn up and it happens. You have no idea what the exercises are going to be. Different every single time. Even though it's similar exercises. I think there's something to the element of surprise that means you can't, quote, dread it, because you have no idea what's coming.
You just dread it when we see the sled is out.
I love the sled.
That's I hate it. It's my arch nemesis. Try sliding those things along on fake grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But I do it because I'm told to do it.
So, have you heard of, is it Gretchen Rubin, the 4 personality types and what motivates you? Have you heard of those?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm probably going to butcher this, but hopefully I remember. So there's an obliger, which means if you're an obliger, you will uphold external expectations at the detriment to your own, which I think you could be, because I am sort of slightly. The reason that the gym works for you, wait till you hear the other ones, because I think there might be 2, but you go because you committed and because you enjoy it, but you do the extra reps and things because you're upholding that for someone else.
That's very true.
Yeah, and so the other...
Or even just looking at someone else and going, I know I can do better than you.
Yeah.
I know I'm fitter than you are, and I can see what you're doing, and I know I can do better. So even though I'm tired because I ate an entire box of matchmakers,
I'm here and I'm doing it.
I still have to do this.
What's another one? I can't remember what it's called, but there's one where you uphold inner and outer expectations. So because you've given yourself the expectation and you don't want to let other people down, you make sure it happens. And another one is an upholder, where you have to meet your own expectations. So being a little bit of a perfectionist. And so it's all internal. I'm probably getting this wrong. There's another one called a rebel. So you'll do it if you're told not to. So like
That's
anyone, no, possibly like Nick or like someone who does something that's
yeah. Nick only ever does the exact opposite of what you expect him to do. But you can't even reverse psychology that, because he'll still do the opposite.
But it's one of those people they'll never follow the norm. They'll never want to go to a gym. They'll never want to do what's standard. And I wonder if that's how I feel like that's how maybe some of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu kind of stuff started. It was like completely different, and now it's huge.
Yeah.
But it's doing something that no one wanted to do. And high rocks, have you heard of that?
Yeah, like climbing things.
No.
Is it not?
It's everywhere. It's a sport-based workout, a bit like CrossFit, but it's 8 different exercises, and then in between each exercise, you have to run a kilometre or a mile. I'm going to get this wrong now.
Oh, yes, no, I have heard of this, yes.
Yeah, and it's taken
Someone
a while
was telling
by
me about
storm.
this recently. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting the way it's like, there used to be like...
Oh, you can do
weightlifting.
like competitions of it. Not
Yeah.
competitions, but like you enter an event and you do it.
Yeah.
And you can do it individually or in a group or whatever.
Yeah. So there's
Someone was telling me about that.
Weightlifting and running. So weightlifting and endurance. And then CrossFit kind of brought the two together and was like, we're going to create these events where you have to be able to do both. And then now High Rocks is taking that even further by including, you have to do the heavy weight, but you have to be able to run in between. So it's creating these like incredible like hybrid super athletes. But yeah. It's very interesting. So, gone completely off discussion points. Technological advancements is another thing that ChatGPT told me. The digital environment and sedentary lifestyles contribute to decreased physical activity in both children and adults, which I think is really true. Do you remember we used to, on a Saturday afternoon, sit and watch about 3 hours of television?
We definitely did. Is that really anything to do with technological advancements or anything changing that? It's just kids. Unless you put kids in physical activities, like you put them in football on a Saturday or dance or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
they mostly want to sit around and watch TV or play video games and stuff, right?
Yeah, but I think we had it pretty good. Like all we could do was sit and watch Friends or Sunset Beach. Which was on television. Yeah, see? In that chair in your house, do you remember?
But you also had to watch it at that time because that's the time it was on television.
It's like 2 till 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And or your Friends Series 6 on VHS that we probably know word for word. But now there's YouTube, there's TikTok, there's all this stuff that the kids have access to that I think, obviously, you're very mindful of it, I would say. Are you with the girls?
Yes, very. The girls are not allowed on YouTube at all.
Okay.
They have their at one point Amelia had an old iPad, but now they've just got Kindle Fire things. And after Ivy accidentally ordered a game because it was like an advert within a free game, and it's all linked to my Amazon account, and she ordered like a $10 game. Fortunately, it was a very harmless game. I don't think there was anything dodgy in it, but it was the fact that she was able to do it, and I thought I had that locked down, and I did not. So now I have locked absolutely everything on their devices. They can't do anything without a parental code.
Yeah.
On Ivy's, she can't even access the internet browser. On Amelia's, she can, because she sometimes uses it to look up things for school. But I feel like generally if she needs to do that, she can just use one of our laptops.
Yeah.
That device is really just for playing games and watching Netflix. They can't do anything because I don't trust it's not what they're looking for, it's what they're then shown as the next video. And you can't control it.
I don't think I've told you this, and it will be interesting to see how this goes down on a podcast, actually, if anyone is still listening 57 minutes in. I told you recently that I set up a new Instagram account for a client.
No.
So it's a 35-year-old male, which you have to enter your details when you set it up. But this client had not had access to the account. So I know it was completely clean. There was no algorithm in there. He hadn't been watching anything. It was a completely clean slate. I was the only one who'd had access to it. And I'd read recently that Instagram had changed its algorithm to increase the watch time to keep more people on the app for longer. So if you keep watching something shocking, so things like people being hit by cars, death, sex, things like that. So really, really shocking stuff, that they'd changed the algorithm to be more like TikTok. And I was like, haven't seen any of it on any of my established accounts.
Yeah.
Opened a new account, and holy shit, it was wild. The reason I share this is because
It was
young
directed to a
girls-
35-year-old male.
this is a 35-year-old male, but apparently young girls are being shown some of the worst stuff. So you have to be on the app for, under 30 seconds to be shown something pornographic. And a 35-year-old male, I had an OnlyFans golfer lady swinging a golf club in slow motion, wearing a top like this, but with no bra on. Like, whoosh, yeah. You'll have to watch the video to see what motion I was doing. Wild. And then something that looked like a penis being chopped off that was in fact some kind of sausage maker. Very strange. But anyway, and then a breastfeeding mother, which a lot of OnlyFans, you know what OnlyFans is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of OnlyFans and sort of strippers and things are using the fact that it's breastfeeding and you can show your breast in that context to get your boobs out on social media. It was wild, but I mean, because what did we have back in the day as our most influential platforms? Ms. Magazine?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get Facebook until we were, for me, at uni.
And
So
I
I was
logged in under
18.
your email address because you had to be a member
because
of
you
the
couldn't get
university.
it. Yeah, exactly.
And I was
MySpace
like,
for a little bit, 2 years before that, maybe 16, we had MySpace.
but even everything on that was clean, wasn't it? And it was people you knew.
Yeah, you weren't getting ads or any kind of... I mean, you were getting viruses from downloading from LimeWire every time you wanted to download a song.
Yes.
But otherwise, no, we didn't really have access to anything.
Are you worried about the girls in terms of what they have access to at the moment? Or are you...
I hope that they'll be slightly better off being here. I feel that they're a bit more sheltered than they would be in what we like to call the real world, because this place more often than not does not feel like the real world.
Yeah.
But for now, I just control it as best I can
Yeah.
without
Have you had to...
them being too
have a-
conscious of me doing that.
No, but I think they're still young enough. I think it'll get more interesting over the next few years.
They're going to want phones. They're going to want... I mean, I think maybe a kid or two in their class already might have a phone. Doesn't have a SIM card or anything, but, a parent's old iPhone has been given to them. So then they have one. So then why would an 8-9-year-old need that? That
Funny,
child is
I
not walking to school alone.
Yeah. My little friend Archie came in the other day and announced that he had Kylie's old iPhone. You met Kylie because Finn got one. His older brother got one when he was 9, and our boys are very similar. I think for communication in a small town when they are like biking around or this, that, the other, it's tricky. It's a really tricky conversation to have with children. And I think, I really don't know what the answer is. I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest.
Very nervous.
Caden, who's 15, said he's worried about what social media will be like for Charlie, who's 8 months old, when he's grown up.
Very astute of him for a 15-year-old.
I know. Less astute was recently, we were talking about this, weren't we? Yeah, a few midnight excursions and talking to people on Snapchat. Different to what we had.
Yeah,
Probably
we had a
a good
Nokia
thing.
3310.
3310 with Snake. We were so
And you had to
sheltered.
keep your message under a certain number of characters, right? Otherwise it would go into 2 text messages.
Too long.
And wasn't it
Yeah.
like 10p a message or something?
My gosh. Yeah,
Because the kind of unlimited, the plans didn't come along until later.
Like the
where you were
unlimited
getting
plans.
free texts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10p a text message. So you had to keep that thing really short.
Oh my gosh, hence the text language.
Yep.
Oh my god. Right. We're getting relatively long in the teeth, an hour.
Oof.
So
My
we'll
children
wrap
will be
it
home
up
soon too.
What, sorry?
My children will be home soon as well.
That could be interesting. We should get them on. How does mummy's food taste?
Yeah.
No, but so before we wrap up, we've got 2 topics. GLP-1 drugs I want to touch on, Ozempic, because I know you've seen that a little bit around, more so in the States than here. Parents, how your mother eats, does it irk you? Because I had to watch my dad eat while we were here, and
Very much
it was
so.
killing me.
Yeah. And seeing the knock-on effect it's having.
Yeah. So what in particular?
In all fairness, she's gotten a little bit better lately. In the last kind of year or so, she has stopped eating crunchy nut cornflakes for breakfast, and she eats plain Greek yogurt, which is a huge win.
Yeah.
But her issue is still eating late at night because she stays up really late. When she was a dance teacher for her entire life, they would do evening classes, and so she wouldn't be home until maybe 10 o'clock at night. So she wouldn't be just getting into bed. She would be up until midnight or after midnight.
So that's really
Because
normal.
she'd then sit down and relax. But she didn't have to be, especially if I was taking myself to school when I was older, she didn't have to be up in the morning to take me to school. So she would then sleep in on the other end. So she has never kicked that habit of just going to bed, started going to bed earlier, but she eats dinner at a normal time. So
And she's up for
inevitably
6 hours.
she's hungry at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, which you're
And
never
so
gonna
then
make
she
good
will crack
choices.
out the crumpets or the biscuits or a bowl of cereal.
Comfort food.
Or a mug of Ovaltine or whatever. I mean, so her general, when she's eating her dinner and her lunch and stuff, her food is not that bad. I mean, her lunch is usually crackers and cheese. Okay, she's eating crackers, but she doesn't have vast portions. She doesn't eat loads of food in terms of volume. But for her, it's the evening
The late
eating.
night.
And then being tired, because now she's getting older, she doesn't sleep as well. And she's
It's
not
probably-
moving because she's retired.
Yeah, it's probably eating
So
that
she's-
close to bedtime as well that makes her not sleep as well.
And she'll have tea, not decaf, normal tea.
Like caffeinated
But she drinks
tea.
so much tea that she thinks it doesn't affect her. But it still must do, having it that late at night.
Yeah, the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours. So her last cup of tea late at night will be affecting her all the way through to the morning almost and making
Yeah.
her feel groggy. Yeah.
And then that causes knock-on effects, so then she doesn't want to go for a walk because she's tired or her knees hurt or she's...
And I think we talked about this as well, like the knees hurting, the sort of inflammatory aspects of eating lots of crackers, sugary cereal or things like that. It's such a knock-on effect that so many people don't realise.
Yeah, if I don't eat well, I get issues with my knees. For what reason, I don't know. But I do get... Yeah, I do get... I feel it might be something to do with when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And maybe like overdoing the exercise or the wrong sort of exercise when your joints are loose, because I don't feel like I had any problems before I had children. So whether it's an age thing, whether it's what I did in pregnancy, I don't know. But I had a Baker's cyst behind one of my knees kind of during COVID time, and I had an MRI on it, and the cyst had since gone, but knee pain would persist. And they were like, no, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing structurally wrong with your knees. So, but if I don't eat well, or I go through a prolonged period of not eating as well as I should, I notice that I get knee pain.
That's so interesting because a lot of my clients, their pain goes away, like their chronic pain. And I think once you remove inflammatory foods, it definitely goes. And I'm the same as you. Since I've had Charlie, and I exercised a lot through pregnancy, I think just to keep myself feeling sane. And then a lot postpartum as well. Like I never meant to overdo it, but I was jumping quite early on. Like I really enjoyed it. And your hips are still extended. Like I think mine still are 9 months postpartum, like we talked about. Like
it takes a
if
while.
your hips are out of line. I also listened to something amazing recently that when you're a teenager, we don't get taught that our hips shift. Our whole center of gravity shifts when we hit puberty, and suddenly we can't run as fast as the boys. We can't exercise like we used to because things are not in the right place. And so we feel like we're failing, we feel like we're unfit. And actually it's just our body structurally changing that we never get told about. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. No one told us that. And I remember getting, quote, shit at sports at some stage, you know, just not enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, really interesting. But that's, so my knees hurt, and I tell you what, it's not shit food for me, it's booze.
Really?
Yes, which you...
Well, at least you know, and you can make the decision whether to do it anyway.
Exactly, and I think if I have a few drinks, it's fine. But if I persistently drink a lot of alcohol, I know my body is inflamed, and I start to feel it in places like my knees and my hips.
Yeah.
Are we this old?
I don't know. I'm the age now where if I don't sleep on the right kind of pillow, I can't move my neck in the morning.
I get that too.
Has to be a very nice memory foam pillow, or I'm going to be crippled the next day. I don't know when that happened, actually. So we're going to Greece this summer sailing for 2 weeks. And I'm already thinking that I'm going to have to take my own pillow with me. Because if I don't sleep on the right pillow for 2 weeks, I'm not going to be able to move.
Okay, so...
How sad is that?
And when you first went to Greece, or we first went sailing, and you met Nick when you were 19... I mean, we were just out listening to duff music, and you were sleeping in the dog box.
I'm getting my charge. I was. Oh, we weren't doing much sleeping, actually.
Being young. Is your laptop about to die?
No, I'm going to plug it in, but yes, it will if I don't plug it in, but I can plug it in while I talk to you.
So,
sorry for the distraction.
No, that's all right. My podcast, I need to either try and take this extremely professional, or people just be slightly okay with the ropey audio. I've got my new fluffy mic, which is very exciting. I'm hoping that's going to help my side, but I don't know how it'll all come through, especially with the lack of mic headphones and things. So on that note, Grace, before we move on to GLP-1s, talk to me about how you try and stay healthy when you're traveling.
Honestly, I don't make a lot of effort when I'm travelling. Yeah. If I can... I mean, I still... Obviously, we like to walk. Nick likes to walk. We take the kids for walks. So if we're somewhere where walking is a nice thing to do, which often where we go in the States, it's not. Depending. We'll we'll get walks in and things. I do lots of shopping, which involves lots of walking.
I don't live near any good
And I'm
shops.
out of practice because we don't have the shops here.
Yeah, that used to be
exhausting.
It used to be like a weekly activity for me and you. And yeah, you suddenly find a massive shopping mall, or you walk around a town for 3 hours in the afternoon. I'm zonked.
And you're on your feet all day.
Yeah. It's been the big takeaway from this podcast with Becca: shopping for exercise. It is the best. How to stay
Did you
healthy
expect any
on
less
holiday?
from me?
Go and spend some money.
Otherwise, I don't make a lot of effort. If there's delicious food and restaurants and things I want to try, I just have that.
Yeah.
And I will fix the consequences when I come home.
I think that's the power, though. That's the beautiful freedom of knowing what you're doing and knowing your way back.
And enjoying it.
Yeah. Not feeling guilty because you know it's not forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and generally I'll try and be, if I know I'm going, I'll try and be extra good before I go for the kind of weeks before. So to kind of hopefully in some way make up for not being when I'm away.
For what's to come. And I think I'm similar, so rather than doing it like we used to do, like diet hard and just eat lettuce, which never worked for me, prior to a holiday, just trying to be sensible in the run up. And what's interesting is, I was listening to a podcast the other day, we can actually shrink our fat cells, which is interesting. So even if you just sort of shrink them prior to holiday, and then you know you're going to overeat a little bit or be quite indulgent or relax, and it's just sort of preempting the fun.
Yeah.
Rather than from a harsh perspective.
Getting back on the wagon after.
Yeah, exactly. And
Going to Greece, I don't know how I'm going to manage because I don't know. I mean, I suppose there'll be some walks involved, a bit of swimming maybe,
yeah,
but there's also going to be lots of saganaki.
yeah. Which for anyone who doesn't know is deep fried cheese. And it's so
By the
good.
block.
You literally get the whole block on a plate. I have to find a photo to
Heaven.
share with everyone.
I might not even like it anymore though. I haven't had it in so long. Maybe I won't like it.
Extremely strong. So actually, rather than being able to eat a whole block like we used to, I'd literally have like a quarter. So that's good.
reassuring.
And so my other tips for Greece is going back at the age that you are. Last time I was back anyway, I used to eat a lot of sugar and I was an absolute sugar fiend. I used to live off orange juice, vodka orange, and I could not say no to the bread basket. Probably because I was doing what we talked about and we would be like, starve, starve, starve. And then you get to dinner and they bring you out a basket of beautiful fresh bread before an hour and a half before the food. And you slam it back. So what I've found now is eating something really, really good and either fasting and going for a walk or whatever and having a couple of coffees like you do in normal life and breakfast at 10 a.m. or having, I say fasting, just have a coffee and go for a walk and don't eat for a couple of hours in the morning. And then having some Greek yogurt, like real Greek yogurt, just like some form of protein-rich breakfast. Or even skipping it if I didn't feel like breakfast and going straight to lunch because the evenings tend to be quite heavy and late.
Yeah.
And then I think you'll be surprised compared to when we were younger what you'll want to eat now. So it's so easy to order a steak with salad. The Greek lamb is delicious. There are so many things that I loved it. Even fresh fish and things. You've never been a fish fan, have you? Will you like it now?
Like salmon, I'm not a huge whitefish fan.
Yeah.
I can eat. I will eat it if it's given to me. That's what I'll eat.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But that's
wouldn't
my
be my
favourite
choice.
go-to in Greece is either a tuna steak or one of their fishes and just salad instead of fries. I think you'll be fine. Yeah. My friend was actually sending me pictures, friend Jackie, who's done my programme, and her partner actually lost 15 kilos travelling around Europe and around Greece because he just started to eat like she did. And she was sending me photos of the Greek bacon and eggs, just
bacon and eggs and a
tomatoes
taverna.
and cucumber. You know how it comes with stuff like that, and she just didn't eat the bread. But beautiful meals, like big prawn salad and things. So I think you'll be fine. And then a bit of saganaki here and there. In hindsight, if we're thinking about the keto diet, saganaki is it's just cheap.
Probably fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not.
And I won't be
terrible.
indulging in the many, many beers and everything else we used to drink. So
Yeah, that's very true. So 2 more topics. Rebecca, because we see each other, we talk all the time, but I hadn't seen her in about 2 years before my wedding. Quit alcohol. And I had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had a drink since Christmas Day of 2020.
Yeah. Wow,
I
5
woke
years.
up on Boxing Day with a raging hangover.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done now.
Yeah, and I think that's not only a trend that a lot of people are following, but also just admitting that you don't have an off switch.
Yeah.
I don't. I try. But it's definitely something I'm mindful of, and I'm toying with the idea of not drinking as much. And there's a brand new book out called Bad Drunk. Have you heard about that?
I haven't, no.
No, there's a girl called Millie McIntosh who was on Made in Chelsea.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, she's just brought out a book. She said it was after she was, a mother of 2, and they went to a wedding, and she completely wrote herself off and embarrassed herself, and her husband was so disappointed. And a couple of times after she was returning to sort of partying and socialising after she first became a mother, and she'd woken up and with really, really sore boobs because she hadn't pumped her boobs and was having to bottle feed her daughter while she pumped her boobs with tears streaming down her face. She was like, what am I doing? And I think it's more people than ever are admitting that it doesn't
It's so much easier now. There's so many people don't drink, and it's so much easier to just say, no, I don't, I know I'm good, I don't actually drink anymore, without a lot of questions. And especially now also I have, my 2 children are a little bit older, there's never any kind of like, oh, are you pregnant? Oh.
You're like, no,
which used to be that would be the only reason someone wouldn't be drinking before.
Yeah.
Or you'd be trying to hide it and pretend that you were actually drinking the beer or whatever. But now it's like, no, I just don't drink.
Yeah.
And there's lots of alternatives, and non-alcoholic beer is, I mean, it's been a while since I had a real beer, but the non-alcoholic stuff is so good now.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't before when I was pregnant and trying to not drink.
Yeah.
Trying to not drink. I would have the odd glass of something, but I didn't drink otherwise. But I tried having non-alcoholic beer as just to, feel included. And it was just disgusting. But now it's really good.
I think you can even get non-alcoholic or low-alcohol craft beer now.
Yeah, all the IPAs, all the different ones. Yeah, you've got loads of options now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I enjoy that. I think it's hugely to do with who you're surrounded by as well. I definitely notice my drinking habits go up and down depending on who I'm with, and I loved the time we spent together when you came over for the wedding, because I didn't even know you quit drinking. We never really talk about drinking, I suppose, and how much fun you can have without it even being a consideration. Don't know. I realised that when I was pregnant as well, how much fun I have in life that doesn't involve alcohol. So interestingly, this is, I reckon, the one reason I would try taking Ozempic or one of the GLP-1 drugs, because it's being used to make you drink less alcohol.
Okay.
So the same receptors that stop you wanting to eat, they're using it for drug addicts and not even alcohol addiction, just cutting down, which is really interesting. But so you, over in the Turks and Caicos, you had a friend or two try it?
I have had one friend that's been on it because she had polycystic ovaries, which came first. I think for her, she had been quite fit when she's a bit younger than me. So when she was at uni, she was ultra fit. And then from when I'd known her, she had been overweight and had polycystic ovaries. So I do think that in her case, the polycystic ovaries had come first.
Yeah, I mean, they reckon it's polycystic ovarian syndrome is a metabolic disease. So she may not have been overweight, but there may have been something malfunctioning inside her.
I know, but you can, if you are obese, you can end up with that as a result, perhaps. But I think she hadn't been overweight, but when I knew her, she was. And it's not like she would go out drinking and partying, but then, as you know, with age as well, she was doing that a whole lot less anyway, but she just wasn't losing any weight, and she wasn't eating tons of food, she wasn't boozing loads, and she just wasn't getting any thinner. And she's vegetarian, so she was struggling probably to get the protein in that she needed as well.
Yeah, that's
so
really interesting.
I need to catch up with her again since she's been off it, but last time I caught up with her, she had lost loads of weight, and she was about to start weaning herself off.
So she just used it as
she was concerned about what was going to happen when she came off it. So I need to catch up with her and see how she's doing, really.
Oh, so watch this space. I'd be really interested to know, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there on the GLP-1 drugs that your muscle disappears, and it's actually not true, but you need to maintain adequate protein in order to stop that from happening. And you need to use your muscles, which is sometimes hard if you are eating so little.
Yeah.
So interesting. Who knows where do you reckon we'll be in 30 years' time? Wrap this up.
I would like to be like some of the ladies I see at the gym who are in their 60s.
Yeah.
And they look fantastic. And I'd say they're fitter than I am.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason, I hope, why I shouldn't be able to be like that. But that's what, like there's one lady, she goes to classes not once, but quite often twice a day. And she recently ran an ultra marathon.
Well,
I couldn't run an ultra marathon.
Bex, our endurance peak is 42 years old. We are not there yet.
Excellent news.
I know. So it's who you surround yourself with, right? So I always joke
Yeah.
about eating and exercising for my old lady body these days. I no longer want to be thin and have abs. I just want to I want to feel really good. I want to be able to look after Charlie really well. And in 20 to 30 years' time, I want to feel fucking fantastic.
Still feel good.
Yes, still feel really good. And like you say, it's those women who you see at the gym, those aspirational women. There's a lady who walks up the 45th parallel that I see every day called Leslie, and she's over 70. She does that every day and she looks incredible. Right, so we'll wrap that up. Cheers to exercising for our
It's
old
getting
lady
dark
bodies.
here because it's 20 to 6. Oh, and that's my kids knocking on the door, so I better...
Talk about
I better
timing.
go.
Thank you, Becca.
I know. Thank you for having me.
We'll chat to you soon.
Okay, bye.